In this video, we're going to go over financing versus leasing a Tesla, but first, let me just tell you right now, I don't ever recommend buying a Tesla, any Tesla, with cash, and I'll tell you why after this. What's poppin', what's Gucci, guys? If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. Buying a Tesla could be a very exciting experience, but if you end up choosing the wrong payment method, you could be landing in a world of hurt. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I would never, ever recommend buying a Tesla in cash because that's a ton of money you have to fork out of your pocket. And then what? Your net worth decreases by 40, 50, 60, or even sometimes over $100,000 immediately. And obviously, no matter which payment method you decide to use, you're still going to be paying for the car, but there's definitely more consideration to take note of when it comes to which payment method makes the most sense for you. So in today's video, I'm going to go over why I would never pay for a Tesla in cash, then I'll pivot into financing versus leasing a Tesla, go over the advantages and disadvantages of both of those options, and then finally I'll reveal which one of these options I would choose over the other. But before we get started with today's video, make sure to lightly smash the like button because it really does help with the YouTube algorithm, and as a result it'll help my channel grow and these videos will get recommended more on YouTube. So thank you guys for doing that, I really appreciate it. But anyway, let's start off with why I would never recommend paying for a Tesla outright with cash. Besides the fact that your checking account will decrease by thousands upon thousands of dollars immediately, another reason is because you'll be losing the opportunity to invest that money to make even more money for you. Let me explain. When you're investing your money, it's sort of like you're hiring your post-tax money to go out there and get a job and work for you. They become your employees, and in return, you get a decent profit over time. Now, keep in mind that these profits are certainly not guaranteed, but one of the safest investing methods you could do is invest your money into index funds. And if you don't know what index funds are, just pull up Google after watching this video, simply type in, what are index funds, and you should be able to get a result with an answer. But basically, at a high level, it's a portfolio of stocks made up of 500 of the largest companies in the United States, and generally you can expect around an 8% return on investment, give or take. So for example, if you invest $10,000 in the S&P 500, at the end of the year, you can expect around $800 of pre-tax profit. Again, this is hypothetical, so it's not guaranteed, but based on historical data, that's usually what you can expect from investing in these index funds. Within the past 2 or 3 years, I've been really getting into the whole investing mindset, and what I've learned from watching multiple financial channels here on YouTube, like Graham Stephan and Nate O'Brien, is that they all recommend investing in S&P 500. And because of them, I've been doing really well in the stock market with the funds that I allocated into these index funds. So just tying this back to why I would never pay for a Tesla in cash, let's put it into another example. Say that I was going to buy a Performance Model 3 for $60,000 out the door, and we're just going to use this whole number to make everything easier, but if I was to pay for the car in cash, I would lose $60,000 of investing opportunity immediately. Now if I was to take that money and invest it in the S&P 500 instead, and after 1 year we get an 8% return, that's almost $5,000 of profit I would be losing out on if I was to pay for the car in cash.
But Jay, you have to pay interest when you finance or lease the car.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, but if you have a decent credit score and you get approved for something really appealing, then in the end, it'll be worth it. Personally, I got approved for a 3.3% interest rate on my loan, so theoretically, if I was to invest my money instead, I would still end up making 4 or even 5% of profit, which then I can reinvest that money to make even more money to make even more money. It's the power of compound interest. Leave a comment down below if you know what compound interest is, or if you would like me to make a video explaining it further. But to summarize why I would never pay for a Tesla in cash, it's because you'd be losing out on a huge investment opportunity just to save a little bit of money on interest. Moving on to financing versus leasing a Tesla. Beginning with financing. Financing a Tesla is extremely easy to apply for. All you really need is a decent credit score and a credit history, and chances are you'll be approved for some kind of financing. To take it one step further, Tesla offers a program called Tesla Financing, which you can apply for directly from your Tesla account, and what will happen from there is Tesla will actually take your application and send it over to various lenders like Chase, Wells Fargo, US Bank, and a couple of other third-party institutions, and once Tesla hears back from them respectively, then they'll pass on that information over to you. From that stage, you can pretty much accept or decline their offer, and worst comes to worst, you decline their offer and apply for financing on your own. What a lot of people end up doing if they decline the offers is that they'll usually go out and try to secure financing on their own, either through their own bank that they've been with for a very long time, or a credit union of some sort, which generally offers pretty good rates. And once they find the most optimal loan approval, they can change the terms to be either a shorter or longer repayment period, but keep in mind that changing the terms can sometimes affect the interest rate. As you can see, applying for a loan to purchase your Tesla is pretty simple, and it gives you the option to make comfortable payments towards the car. And again, instead of paying for the car entirely at once, you're paying for it over an extended period of time, which allows you to keep more of your capital and reinvest those funds into the stock market or whatever investment you want to dabble yourself in. At the end of the repayment period, the car will be all paid off and the title will be clear of any liens, and that, my friend, will be a beautiful day, especially if you gain a ton of profits from investing your cash instead. Alright, let's talk about leasing now. Leasing at this moment is only available for the Tesla Model 3, the Model S, and the Model X. The Tesla Model Y, on the other hand, can only be purchased by cash or by financing the car, and as you already know, there's only one option I would choose if I was given that choice, and it's not cash. But even though leasing is not available at this very moment for the Model Y, that's not to say Tesla won't offer it in the near future, so if you are looking into getting a Model Y, this next part is still pretty important to take note of. With Tesla's lease program, it gives you the flexibility of choosing the amount of miles you want to limit yourself annually, and the choices offered are either 10,000, 12,000, or 15,000 miles. In addition to that, the standard term for Tesla leases are about 3 years, so remember to keep that in mind if you decide to go this route. If something happens and you need to terminate the lease early, an early termination is allowed. However, ending a lease early can be extremely expensive, costing over thousands of dollars. So if you want to lease a Tesla, make sure you can keep it for the full term to avoid any additional fees. Now that we've gone over both leasing and financing, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of both of these options. First off, financing again is a great way to own a car and at the same time not have to pay for it all at once. Sure, you pay a bit of interest over time, but the biggest advantage here is that you'll be able to invest your money in other places like investments or paying for a down payment for a house. And there's just so many different scenarios where it's more beneficial to keep most of your money and slowly pay off your Tesla instead. With the fact that depreciation in these cars are not as crazy as traditional ICE cars, you retain a ton of the value in this investment and eventually you'll pay off the car and it'll still be worth something in the future. You honestly can't say this about all cars because traditional cars out there today are not future-proof like Teslas are. What I mean by that is Teslas are eventually going to be 100% full self-driving, so your car will have the capability of generating passive income for you while you're at home or at work. For instance, your car will have the skills to go out and serve as a taxi service while you're doing whatever else you are doing. So it's basically going to serve as your employee and make money for you. That's not really a bad deal, right? I guess another advantage I should bring up is the fact that you'll be building a stronger credit history by financing your Tesla instead. Like I mentioned earlier, when you're planning on financing something, lenders typically look at your credit score and credit history. So if you were to buy a home within the next couple of years, or you want to finance a boat, or whatever the case may be, you're going to want to have the highest credit score possible so that you get offered the best rates. Let's be real, nobody wants to be hit with interest rates of like 10 or even sometimes 20%, because then you'll just be losing out on a whole bunch of money and nobody wants that to happen to them. Let's talk about the disadvantages of financing a Tesla now, and truth be told, I can only think of 2 at this very moment, but if you can think of more, please leave a comment down below. The first one I want to bring up is the fact that you won't own the car outright. Anytime you're financing something, lenders will typically keep the title, so you won't actually get it until you pay the car off, and until that happens, the car technically belongs to the lender. And if you run into a situation where you have to sell your car or transfer it to another person, you're gonna have to go to your lender and have them involved in the whole entire process. As troublesome as it may sound, it's actually a really smooth process, so I wouldn't stress about it too much. The second disadvantage of financing a Tesla is something I mentioned earlier, and it's the interest that you have to pay for taking out a loan. Nobody likes paying interest, and I get why some finance gurus really hate taking out loans for this very reason. But in my opinion, if the interest rate that you get approved for is low enough, then it makes more sense for you to invest your money elsewhere than to dump it all into one place. Again, this is just my opinion, and obviously I don't expect everyone to agree with me, but I just hope you guys understand the thought process behind this. With that being said, let's go over the advantages of leasing a Tesla. The biggest advantage of leasing, in my opinion, is the fact that you're driving the car during its most trouble-free years. And particularly with the Tesla, these cars are known to have little to no maintenance whatsoever. I mean, I guess if you count replacing windshield wiper fluid as part of maintenance, then chances are that's probably going to be the most amount of maintenance you're going to go through, at least for the first couple of years. The second advantage of leasing is you're always going to have the option of choosing the latest car Tesla releases. For example, if you leased a Tesla Model 3 a couple of years back, you can now turn in your vehicle and lease a Model Y in a couple of months, or lease a newer Model 3 if that's really what you want to do. Compared to financing where you're sort of stuck with the car, leasing guarantees the option of driving a new car every couple of years. The third advantage of leasing a Tesla is the lower monthly payments. Generally with leasing, you're only paying for the use of the vehicle during the lease period, so Tesla will actually base these payments more on the depreciation as opposed to the purchase price. And as a result, you'll have a lower monthly payment. The fourth advantage is all the significant tax advantages you are eligible for if you are a business owner. And I guess we can add this to a financing advantage as well, so maybe it's not necessarily an advantage over the other, but a mutual advantage instead. But anyway, as a business owner, you're able to write things off like a car, so when you're filing your taxes, you might be able to get a decent tax break from financing or leasing a Tesla. And since this one wasn't necessarily an advantage over the other, I guess the real fourth and last advantage I can think of at this moment is the fact that you won't have to worry about the car's trade-in value or worry about going through the hassle of trading the car in once you want to upgrade to a newer car. Once you return your lease, you can buy whatever car you want. A pretty smooth and clean process, right? Now let's briefly touch on the disadvantages of leasing a Tesla. To begin, it can be quite expensive in the long run, even though the monthly payments appear lower with the lease. The reason for that is you have to think about what you're going to do after the lease ends as well. Are you going to lease another car and continue making payments on it, or are you going to finance a new car from there? With leasing, you're kind of getting yourself into a never-ending cycle of monthly payments, whereas financing, you'll eventually own the car and not have to make these payments on it anymore. Another disadvantage of leasing is you're limited to a certain amount of miles every single year. So if you're somebody who likes to go on road trips a lot, you might want to be careful with how much you drive it regularly, because if you end up passing the annual mileage limit, you could be penalized at a very high rate, costing you even more money. The third disadvantage with leasing is you cannot make any customizations to the car. If you want to wrap your car, do a chrome delete, swap out the wheels, or install aftermarket parts like a spoiler or a front lip, you can say goodbye to all of that stuff, because at the end of the lease, you're going to have to return the car in the same condition and configuration as you received it. Things like regular wear and tear is fine, but modifications, yeah, Tesla would not like that, and you may be even charged with more fees because of it. The last disadvantage of leasing is that you cannot just walk away from it. When you sign a lease, it's sort of like signing a rental agreement, and if you end up terminating the agreement, it could result in extremely high fees, sometimes costing even over thousands of dollars. So if you plan on leasing a Tesla, be prepared to keep it for at least 3 years or whatever the terms are. Alright, now that we've gone over both financing and leasing and all the pros and cons associated with them, I'm going to tell you which one I would pick over the other, and it's kind of obvious, but it's financing for sure. Financing a Tesla, in my opinion, just makes more sense financially, and once you pay the car off, it becomes an asset based on the expectation that it will someday provide you with passive income. Another reason why I would pick financing over leasing is because with leasing, you're kind of forced under the rules that Tesla gives you, but with financing, you're pretty much free to do whatever you want with the car. You can drive it as much as you'd like, you can make any modifications to the car, and overall, you just have more of an ownership type of feeling in your brain. But yeah, you guys, these are the reasons why I would pick financing over leasing a Tesla, and based off of your own motivations of getting into a Tesla, you may disagree with me, but that's okay. I can totally understand why some people like leasing over financing, but I just want to express why financing made more sense to me. So let me know down in the comments below, would you rather lease a Tesla or finance a Tesla, and why? Also, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. I upload videos every single Tuesday at 11 AM Pacific, so feel free to turn on the notification bell as well. Lastly, if you guys have any video suggestions, don't be shy, leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, and this way I can understand what else you guys would like to see on the channel. But as always, you guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.